The Premier Bowl End race number 7, Group 2 feature race, one of 2 in the programme, run under handicap conditions, headed by iVictory, who'd run up to Hot King Prawn over the 1,000 metres in the National Day Cup. Mr Stunning won this race last year. He's first up for the season. Winner's Way gets the blinkers on for the first time. Neil Callan from Barrier 6. Hot King Prawn. He's only been beaten once. That was over course and distance last season. California Whip, Not Listen to Me, and Jumbo Luck all go up in class, but Jumbo Luck was a big run behind Hot King Prawn over the 1,000 last time out and gets Barrier 2. Not Listening to Me, he's been up at Chung Fa. He came back at the end of September and has raced since. So at the touchscreen to have a look at the speed map here first, and a couple of key races as well. And well, Hot King Prawn really likes to get rolling. He's got an outside-ish sort of gait, and Jumbo Luck from a good one for him. He should find himself in a pretty nice spot.
You would think so, Andrew. Yeah, he should step well from the inside. The old boy Not Listening to Me is another horse as well who can charge forward, and I guess Mr Stunning from the inside barrier will potentially try and posse up. He may try and get in front of Jumbo Luck. The question mark really is over what Zach Purton decides to do on iVictory. We know he's got the pace potentially to roll forward and sit here if he wants to and maybe cross over with Hot King Prawn. He may have to do a little bit too much though, so the option may be just to slot in here potentially. The big grey Pingwu Spark might want to roll forward as well. But it'll be very interesting to see what Zach chooses to do or what his instructions are with regards to iVictory, whether they want to blaze the trail early and get outside of the front horses, or just sit back and be a bit patient.
Fascinating tactical battle here, Paul. What's the morning track work been telling us?
Well, let's have a look at some of the leading chances here. iVictory, the first one, he's taken no harm from his run fresh up. It was a really good run from him, as we know, and he didn't really have the conditions to suit, but he's going nicely. 50-50, now he's going well. He's back to 1,200 metres, and he has run really well at this distance before. Grant Van Niekerk will take the Mount Barrier 1. You can see he's under a decent hold here. The horse looks pretty well on himself, does 50-50. And the other grey here, Hot King Prawn, the young horse coming through, he's going nicely as well. It was a good run from him, obviously winning that race. The conditions slightly different here, and he's got to go round the bend, but he looks a lot stronger this year.
It's £5 worse off with iVictory for that win. But let's start off with his trainer, in actual fact, John Size. Talking about Hot King Prawn. First, though, he starts with iVictory.
Seems okay. I think, you know, fitness-wise, he'll improve a little bit for having the race. But he's healthy and well. He's in good order. And, you know, his work's been sound, so I think he should improve slightly.
You look at, say, last season when he went from Class 3 to Group 1 in the one season, big effort. Is there more progression and improvement to come, do you think?
Well, usually when they turn 5 in Hong Kong, they make a little bit more incremental improvement. So I'm hoping that at least he'd hold his form. After winning a Group 1 race at level weights, you're not looking for improvement from that point on. That's probably about as good as it gets, you know. So I think he's already done that. So if he can just come back and repeat his best run, that'll stand him in good stead if he does that throughout the season.
And what about Hot King Prawn? Are you happy with what he's shown you in the last couple of weeks since his first up run?
Seems all right. He's a year younger, but the same thing applies. They make some improvement for being, now that he's turned 4 instead of 3. He's furnished a little bit, he looks a little bit stronger, and he's been a specialist down the straight course actually, but he has won 1,200 at Happy Valley, so I'm hoping that he can do the same as Sha Tin.
Who does this race favour more compared to last time, when obviously Hot King Prawn are the better of the weights? iVictory meets him slightly better off this time, and they both step up to 1,200, both with a run under their belt.
Well, the two factors that are quite obvious is that the Hot King Prawn was a specialist down the straight. He'd done a lot down the straight already, and he had a big advantage in the weights. He still has a weight advantage, but iVictory's done most of his racing 1,200 round a bend. So I think again there's not going to be much between them.
In-depth interview there with John Size. You with Hot King Prawn, Brett, down the straights. Can he step up again, do you think?
Maybe. Yeah, I'm with him again, Andrew, because I think he's got an opportunity here with the handicap conditions of this race, as opposed to when we go to the Jockey Club Sprint, where we'll be getting set weight. So if he's ever going to beat Victory around the 1200, I think it'll be in this situation.
All right, well, let's have a look at a few of the other contenders here. This is the Celebration Cup, in actual fact. This is the race that Beauty Generation won. This is Born in China. Back here with the fetching pink blinkers on. The other horses to take note of, California Whip, right down there on the rail, and 50-50 as well. The grey is just tracking Beauty Generation.
Yep, get the feeling that 50-50 and Born in China, potentially we're looking at sort of maybe the mile international time, but now connections have realised that Beauty Generation's extremely difficult to beat. Obviously, he's going to be a measuring stick, and they probably are going to struggle to beat him at set weights when we get to that occasion. So they've opted to come back to the sprint and take on the sprinters, and I think 50-50 is a very interesting runner of the two.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's likely to go well. He's only raced twice over that distance here in Hong Kong, and he's won one and been placed over a tough run in the other. So I think 1200 could be ideal for him. I snuck him in on a minor line.
Yeah, Born in China. I haven't found a place for him, but I've got a bit of time for him as well. The 1200.
He seems to be over his foot problems, doesn't he?
And he also seems to have got rid of that little bit of I don't like Sha Tin attitude. He seems to have got better at Sha Tin.
All right, well, these are the two big ones. Victory. This is a trial, of course, and Hot King Prawn just tracking him at this stage. It was quite a nice trial from both of them, really.
It was. Yeah, so both have run well, obviously, in our first race that we saw. And now they're going to step to 1200 again at handicap conditions. And Hot King Prawn just sat on the back of Victory. I tend to think tactically they may take Victory back. We all know December's, is the grand final for all of these horses, possibly. I wouldn't want to see Victory charging forward and having a gutbuster here with a big weight on his back. He's got a penalty, as does Mr Stunning. We've got to take that into consideration as well. So I think, for me, Hot King Prawn gets his opportunity at 1200 metres to stand up under the conditions against those other two higher rated.
Yeah, I just think with that £5 difference now, though, I'm going to lean the other way, go Victory.
All right, Mr Stunning. Say he was the top dog this time last year. As he built towards that win on International Day, how's his work been coming in? Yeah,
his work's been pretty good. He's should get a nice trail. Barrier number 3. Again, he is to carry the 133 pounds, and he's in the 6-year-old. Interesting to hear what John Size said. They get to 5, and they keep getting that improvement. They sort of peak on the 5, and now he's a year older at 6. But he's been there, done that. His trial was nice, and he should get a good run, so he's going to be right in it.
It's worth remembering that Victory defeated Mr Stunning. He was on a rating of 107 and went to 128 after it. So Mr Stunning's been there for a while. He already won the sprint last year. He won this race last year. He hasn't had a run, obviously, going in. The others have got that advantage over him. But he's got it on the board already, consistently.
He has. Pingu Spark, then. What do we make of him? He's going to be on the sharp side, but he could be staying on late, maybe?
Yeah, he's a big horse, and it takes him a while to get right up to full fitness, I think, Pingu Spark. And I just wonder if they've struggled a little bit this year with him. He's another year older, just getting all that weight off. So I'm happy to watch him go around.
There was an incident with him losing his action in a piece of work or a trial at about the 600, and I think that sort of put things on the back burner a little bit. They've had to back off since then. He's had quite a few trials going in. I don't think he's quite near 100%, so I'm just going to watch the big boy.
Yeah, all right. And I think I'll be leaving alone this time as well. Victory then, Paul?
Yeah, I'm going to stick with Victory. I think he's going to have everything perfect to suit him now here around the bend. And Hot King Prawn is the specialist down the straight. So 1 to beat 6, Mr Stunning in there for 3rd, and 50-50 for 4th. 1, 6, 2 and 3 for me.
He is the specialist down the straight, but he could also print his name as being a horse decent enough around the bend too. He deserves that opportunity for me, Hot King Prawn, and $8.70 or 8.7 as opposed to even money. And the weight situation, I'm happy to tip 6 over 1. 2, Mr Stunning's got the draw. He could be fresh, pinging at them late and potentially roll the pair. And 50-50 is the interesting one coming back in trip for me to a sprint campaign. Wanted to sneak him in for exotic. 6, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, well, I'll stick with Victory as well. The one I've snuck in, Jumbo Luck. I think he's an interesting runner from a low gate.